And I mean, listen, at the end of the day, when you look back at the day and you assess it, were you just busy or were you productive? You see, that's where the big shift's made. We want to help you not just be busy, because that's a new form of lazy. We want to help you be productive. And we're going to get started right now.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
Hey there, what's up everybody? Anthony Morrison here, and welcome to this episode of our Unlock Success Podcast, where today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about productivity. Are you really being productive, or are you just busy? Think about that for a second. We're going to tackle it here on the Unlock Success Podcast, because my goal is to empower you. My goal is to help you have more success. My goal is to help you realize the tiny shifts that you can make in your business, in your life, in your planning, in your habits, in your routine, that can make massive shifts in the amount of success that you can have in life, no matter what your goals are, right? Whether it's in your relationships or in your business or in your health and wellness and things of that nature. And listen, if you ask anyone what they want more of, right? You can dig down. People say, I want more money. I want more things. I want more this, I want more vacation. But if you dig deep, and if you just go as deep as you possibly can, people will always say time. You know, like I said, some people will say money, but listen, if they're smart, they realize that more time can create more money, right? They might say things, but if they're smart, they realize more time means you can make more money, which means you can buy more things, right? So the question really becomes, how do we make more time, right? And the way that we do that is we have to stop being busy and start being productive. Think about that. It's easy to say that we're busy, right? It's easy to convince ourselves that we're working all day long, so we must be being productive. But that's not always the case. In fact, a lot of times that's not the case. Sometimes we avoid the thing that we need to do the most, and we do what's easiest or what comes most naturally to us. I'll tell you an example of that. I absolutely despise, dealing with anything that has to do with paid ads, okay? Like paid advertising in our business. It's just not something I like to do. And so I will find a million things in the day to do to avoid doing that, right? And ultimately, I'll be able to tell everybody, I'm busy, but am I productive? You see, if I think about it and I look back at the day and I kind of see the roadmap of where I was and where I've made it to, if I still don't have that one big thing done, right, then have I really been productive? Have I really made it further today than I was before before the day started? And the answer is really no. As hard as this might be to hear, right? It's really a form of laziness to be so busy but not be productive. Now, before you think I'm being too hard on you and too hard on myself, like I said, I like to use myself as an example. So let's just take this podcast, for example. You can ask my team, even though I wanted to start this podcast and I knew it would be the right thing to do to take my business to the next level, like I knew it. We talked about it for months, right? Months and months before we got it going. Now, why is that? Well, because I would tell myself I was busy. I mean, here are the things I was doing. This was my busy list, right? I was writing emails. I was reluctantly working on ads. I was fixing funnel designs. I was playing around with my website. I was taking phone calls, making deals, all these things. My day was busy, but it wasn't productive because I was avoiding what I knew would be best for my business. I was focusing on all these easy things that I knew how to do, and avoiding the thing that made me uncomfortable. But it was the thing that I had, I would have to put the most effort in, but it was the thing that I knew that I really needed the most, right? So it took some time, but I started shifting my priorities. I stopped being busy, and I started focusing on being productive. So when you're working on your business, I want to challenge you to ask yourself, is what I'm doing productive, or am I just busy? And one of the ways that I've been able to really fix this for myself is I create a priority list, okay? So each and every day at the end of the day, I make a list of things that I need to do tomorrow. And I usually do it on old school. I'm old school with this. My dad was old school. And so I've just remained old school. I have a notepad and a pen. So I don't use some fancy app and alert system or anything like that. I use a notepad and a pen. And I write down a list of all the things that I need to accomplish the next day. And then what I do is I take that list and I prioritize it. And I say, what's going to make the biggest difference in my business tomorrow if I get it done? And I move that to number 1. So I rewrite the list, right? 1 through 10, whatever, however many it is. And then when I wake up the next day, I focus on completing each one of those tasks in order. So if I know that task number 1 is the most important task for my business, even if it's something that is uncomfortable to me, even if it's something that takes more of my brain power, more of my energy, more of me to complete it. So even if that's what it is, I've trained myself to go in order on my list. So I can't get to the easy stuff until I complete the hard stuff. So now what I look at is productivity. I'm being very productive each and every day because I'm getting the hard stuff done. And a lot of people struggle with this. I'll use my brother as an example, and I love him to death. He's not here, so it makes it fair game. But he struggles with being productive. His ability to manage time is basically non-existent. And so what ends up happening is it creates this ball of frustration, right? Because I don't know if you've ever found yourself doing this. I know I have. And I've certainly seen him do it, where you end the day and you look up and you say, wow, I haven't gotten anything done today. Like absolutely nothing. I feel as though I've accomplished nothing today. And what's really happened is you've mismanaged your time. You've stayed busy, but you haven't stayed productive. And a lot of times busy can mean being on our phones, right? Social media is just an absolute curse to productivity, because how many times have you found yourself deep down the rabbit hole, right? On Facebook or Instagram, where you're just clicking and clicking and you look up and you honestly don't even know how you got to where you were, right? How many of you have done that? You don't even know how you got to where you were. You've just kind of followed the trail. And you can burn 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour of your time on absolutely nothing. And so then at the end of the day, you're frustrated because you haven't completed anything. You don't feel like you've been productive. Well, that frustration, it carries over into the next day, and then it builds even more, and it carries over to the next day. And what happens is it creates this mounting ball of frustration where you're constantly unhappy, right? I don't know if you felt this before, but you're constantly unhappy. And you're unhappy because you realize you're not being productive, but you don't realize why. And so you need to take a step back and you need to look at your day from like an outside perspective, right? I've told Adrian many times, I said, we need to put cameras in your office and film you and film what you're doing, what your day is doing. And then I guarantee if you go back and you watch that, there's going to be time that he spends on his computer looking at things that have nothing to do with his work, times that he's on phone calls with people that have absolutely no relevance, right? Like just, in other words, just busy work, right? But not productive work. And you can start chopping those things out of your day. But when you're living in the day, right, oftentimes it's hard to realize what is busy work and what is productive work. Like where is the difference and where does it lie, right? So what I want you to do is I want to challenge you to be aware. Awareness is key. Be aware of what you're doing every day. Maybe film yourself, right? I know it sounds crazy, but maybe do it. Maybe try it and see what part of your day are you just busy and what part of your day are you productive. And then slowly but surely you try to cut the busy out, right? You try to remove that busy work, remove that busy time. And what you'll find is you're happier because your level of stress is so much lower, right? The frustration is not there, so the stress is not there. So you're just overall happier. You're far more productive, right? Which means you end up being more successful. If you're trying to do this, like say, for instance, in your business, which ultimately that's what we're really talking about, right? When we talk about productivity and busyness. I mean, when you wake up 30 days later, 60 days later, and you've made more money than you've ever made before, or you've gotten more done, you've excelled further at work than you've ever excelled before, you're going to realize it's because you've been massively productive. And you're going to realize it's because you haven't been doing a bunch of busy work. So think about it. Like, what a lifestyle change that is, right? To be far more productive, see the fruits of that labor. So, if you're doing this at your job, then obviously your bosses will recognize you, your coworkers will recognize you. If you're an entrepreneur, then you're recognizing yourself because you're seeing that you're making more money, having more success. But at the same time, you're feeling better about your day and you're feeling better about yourself, and you have more a happiness level that's so much higher because you're not full of stress and frustration. All of this can come by just simply being aware of the difference in busy work and being productive. So I hope that this has helped you. I truly believe that if you'll focus on this and you'll have this acute awareness, okay, in the difference of being productive and doing busy work, that I truly believe that you'll have more success. Being busy is really a form of laziness because it's you not being willing to recognize that you don't have clarity for what you really should be doing with your day, right? So don't be lazy, okay? Don't be busy. Let's have clarity and let's be productive. I hope that this podcast and this message has helped you. It's reached you at a time where it can help you truly transform your business, transform your life, and ultimately make you happier and wealthier. I look forward to seeing you here next time on our next edition of the Unlock Success Podcast.